Do you remember when you were a kid and your parents announced at the dining table that the whole family was going on a road trip somewhere you hadn't been before? How'd you react? Today, you remember the road trips and places your family took you to with fondness. Post-World War II, the newly built interstate highway system, thanks to President Dwight D. Eisenhower, beaconed Americans to drive and experience the great outdoors. There was no better way to celebrate the car and these places than to pack your family into the car and hit the road. Be sure to stick around for the last one, because if you ever question dinosaurs ever existed, you'll want to see this place. Yosemite National Park. Yosemite National Park is still a beloved destination, and unlike some of the other sites on this list, this hasn't changed. Famed for its breathtaking landscapes and towering granite cliffs, Yosemite was the site of many outdoor picnics and countless dad jokes about Yogi Bears. Some of the most popular spots to visit were the Mariposa Cove, home to over 500 giant sequoias, and iconic landmarks such as El Capitan and Half Dome, all of which provided endless opportunities for exploration and photography. No visit was complete until your family drove through the iconic Wawona Tunnel Tree. Visitors often combine trips to see both sequoias and the coastal redwoods of California.
Yosemite National Park sits on the western slopes of California's Sierra Nevada mountains.
Chicago. Chicago in the 50s and 60s was a vibrant hub known for its architectural wonders, cultural richness, and economic dynamism. Adults and kids alike couldn't wait to visit the Windy City and see the Loop, Chicago's bustling central business district, which even then was home to countless skyscrapers, department stores, theaters, and restaurants. The iconic Wrigley Building, with its terracotta facade, was a must-see landmark, as was taken in a game at the ballpark of the same name. The Magnificent Mile offered luxury shopping and upscale dining, while Chicago River Tours showcased the city's impressive architecture. Chicago got a bigger shot in the arm in 1973 when the Sears Tower opened as the tallest building. Back then, swimming in Lake Michigan was as good as surfing in coastal towns like Cape Cod, Massachusetts, or Outer Banks, North Carolina, featuring wide, sandy beaches overlooking a vast body of water. In addition, Lakeshore Drive provided scenic views of the entire coastline.
A new and dynamic city on the shores of Lake Michigan, Chicago, a man-made wonder of the world.
Portland Headlight, Cape Elizabeth. Portland Headlight in Cape Elizabeth, Maine is a historic lighthouse with a rich heritage. Constructed at George Washington's directive and completed in 1791, it's the oldest lighthouse in Maine. Of course, in the mid-20th century, Portland Headlight was already a historic and iconic landmark. Its picturesque setting on the rocky coast of Maine made it a favorite spot for tourists seeking the quintessential New England coastal experience. Though the Lighthouse Museum wasn't open until the 90s, the Portland Head area has always had plenty of scenery to offer. Not far away, families could find Fort Williams Park, where they could picnic on scenic lawns, fly kites, or walk along the shore. No vacation photo album was complete without a shot of Portland Headlight. Daytona Beach. Daytona Beach, located on Florida's Atlantic coast, was a premier destination in the mid-century. During those years, Florida was just starting to establish itself as an economic force. However, it was primarily a beach vacation destination known for wide, hard-packed sandy beaches, vibrant boardwalk, and thriving motorsports scene. Even today, certain sections allow vehicles on the beaches, making it a unique spot for families who enjoyed swimming, sunbathing, and beach sports. Kids enjoyed amusement rides, arcades, and food stands, while parents had cocktails and walked along the scenic pier. In 1959, the city opened the Daytona International Speedway, which quickly became a hub for motorsport enthusiasts. In fact, it still hosts the prestigious Daytona 500 race. So while Florida might be less of a destination these days, there's still plenty of fun to be had.
The sands of Daytona, the world's most famous beach. 50 weeks a year, this Florida resort town basks in sunshine and listens to the quiet sounds of the surf.
Black Hills. The Black Hills of South Dakota, known for their rugged beauty and historical significance, were a popular tourist destination in the mid-century, just as they are today. Unfortunately, South Dakota was a big drive for most Americans, which meant days in the car, decades before the invention of the Game Boy. As dads of the era would put it, getting there was half the fun. Black Hills also provided access to Mount Rushmore National Memorial, which drew visitors to marvel at its engineering and artistry. Kids who were big into playing cowboys and Indians, as it was known at the time, loved to visit the Crazy Horse Memorial, which began construction in 1948, and it's still incomplete. The Peter Norbeck National Scenic Byway offered breathtaking views of the region's landscapes, including the dramatic Needles Highway. There was also Custer State Park, which offered hiking, fishing, camping, and wildlife watching, especially during the annual buffalo roundup. To be a kid from the east or west coast in those days, seeing a landscape like this was akin to going to Mars.
Slender granite formations called needles dominate the skyline, and scenic roadways span rolling prairies and wind through ponderosa pine forests.
Boston. Boston, one of the oldest cities in the United States, is a vibrant hub of history, education, and culture. So it's hardly surprising that so many families back in the day loaded up the Chevy or station wagon for a trip to good old Beantown. Established in 1951, the Freedom Trail was a 2.5-mile path through downtown that guided visitors to significant historical sites such as Boston Commons, Massachusetts State House, Paul Revere's house, Old North Church, and Faneuil Hall. Boston Common, the oldest city park in the U.S., offered a green oasis for relaxation and community activities, while Faneuil Hall and Quincy Market provided a bustling center for commerce and dinings. Kids who were feeling spooky could take a trip to nearby Salem to learn about the witch trials that took place there. Whatever the case, going to Boston was like opening up a history book. Fortunately, kids who visited the South Side could at least learn a few new words from the blue-collar residents.
To be part of Boston's exciting new spirit, just call 1-800-858-0200.
It'll cheer you right up.
Boston is right from the start.
Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls is located right on the border between the United States and Canada. For decades, it was the first foreign destination American kids would ever visit. And despite the signs being in both French and English, most of the kids were disappointed at just how similar their neighbor to the north was to the U.S. What didn't disappoint them were the falls themselves. Consisting of the American Falls, Bridal Veil Falls, and Horseshoe Falls, approximately 3,160 tons of water flow over Niagara Falls every second, creating a powerful and awe-inspiring spectacle. Families could also board the Maid of the Mist's boat tour for close-up views of the falls, resulting in angry parents having to buy Niagara Falls commemorative towels before letting soaking wet kids back in the car. Of course, in those days, the falls were known as the honeymoon capital of the world. So if you weren't there to entertain your kids, you were probably busy making them.
I mean, aren't you impressed?
Clark, once a girl's seen Superman in action, Niagara Falls kind of leaves you cold, you know what I mean?
Albuquerque. Aside from being a frequent punchline for Bugs Bunny, Albuquerque, the largest city in New Mexico, was a huge road trip destination back in the 1950s and 60s. Old Town Albuquerque, established in 1706, was a major draw thanks to its Spanish colonial history and southwestern charm. Kids loved to hear stories about cowboys, the Mexican-American War, and the exciting history of turquoise, which travelers of the era often bought in ample quantities. Among the biggest draws to the area were the historic San Felipe de Neri Church and the bustling historic plaza. In 1966, the city opened the Sandia Peak Tramway, which offered visitors spectacular views and access to a range of outdoor activities. Petroglyph National Monument, known for its ancient rock art, attracted visitors interested in Native American culture.
I knew I should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque.
Natchez Trace Parkway. There were a lot of American dads who simply could not spend enough time in the car. And if there were history buffs on top of being car aficionados, they probably dragged their family to the Natchez Trace Parkway. Stretching from Natchez, Mississippi to Nashville, Tennessee, the parkway followed the historic path used by Native Americans, European settlers, pioneers, and Civil War troops. For around 444 miles, the parkway offered a picturesque journey of rolling hills, dense forests, and meadows, which were especially vibrant in the fall. Along the way, visitors could stop at Rocky Springs Methodist Church, Cypress Swamp, Mount Locust, and more. It was a great opportunity to practice playing 20 questions.
A 444-mile haven of diverse landscapes and emerald forests of oak, hickory, and pine.
Dinosaur Valley State Park. Kids of all eras love dinosaurs. So when your parents told you they were taking you to Dinosaur Valley near Glen Rose, Texas, you likely lost your mind. Established in the late 1960s, this site featured some well-preserved dinosaur tracks in the Paluxy riverbed. These alone were enough to attract visitors, but some people wanted more. That's when the residents started selling moonshine and fake fossils, which caused Dinosaur Valley to degenerate into a famous tourist trap.
And that's his toe, his claw. Big old claws on that dinosaur.
The road trips of the last century offered families to bond while experiencing this great country. Each destination provided distinct and memorable experiences, drawing tourists with its own blend of attractions and charm. And while you never knew precisely where you might be going from year to year, you did know that you would see plenty of America out the back window along the way. Isn't that what exploring's about? Have you done any of these road trips? Do you have any famous memories? Is there a road trip you'd like to take soon? Let us know in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a like and share it with your family and friends.